Good evening. It is Friday the 2nd of February and I think it's quite nice to see the back of January because it's often the greyest and always feels a little bit miserable after the fun of the Christmas holidays. At the Academy, we are gearing up for our second exam mock series. We're starting with Year 11s on Monday and then Year 13s in a couple of weeks' time. And this series of mocks, although a huge amount of work for teachers in terms of the marking, is really crucial as it marks the start of the preparation for the final exams in the summer. Students get the opportunity to sit in exam conditions papers that they may only have done one or two questions from before, and we can really test how secure their knowledge is and how where there's any gaps in their skills in terms of performing in these exams. It's also super helpful for us as teachers because we get to be able to identify where these gaps are and any misconceptions they have, and this helps inform what we're going to be doing after the mocks in preparation for the real exams that start in May. And I think it gives students a bit of an indication of really how secure that knowledge is. You know, how effective has their revision been? Have they done enough? How did it feel? So really important times. Now, I know for some students, this can feel incredibly intense and very, very stressful. And I think with that in mind, if you have concerns for your sons or daughters, please contact the school. I'd start by contacting their tutor in the first instance, and then we can put some support in place. Okay. Now, as a school, we don't ask class teachers to mark books. We ask them to mark mock exams, mid-year and end-of-year assessments, because we believe that the best way for students to make progress is based in feedback. So we ask for this kind of timely, effective, frequent feedback, and we feed back to students in many, many different ways. If you were to look in your sons and daughters' exercise books, you won't see any annotations by teachers, but what you will see is examples of green pen work. And this green pen work arises from the feedback opportunities that take place in class. So after asking students to do a piece of work, we will often ask them to redraft, to correct, or just to generally improve it and move it forward. And we ask them to do that in green pen so we can see the difference between their first attempt and subsequent attempts. So they themselves get that sense of the progress that they've made. We are really passionate about supporting students in moving forward, and we use an awful lot of different teaching techniques. And one thing that we've been working on this year is the use of a visualiser in the classroom. And visualisers have been around for a long time at Long Sands, but it's been a particular focus this year while we're looking at how we can use this to model excellent examples. So in the classroom, we often will, when asking a student to undertake a task, we'll give them like a perfect example or an excellent example, which will pop under the visualiser, which is like a sort of digital projector. And then we'll highlight what's good and what could be improved. And using these good examples, we start to almost preempt mistakes that students might make. So as a linguist, I will pop up in front of them and highlight the words that I know they will misspell. So Year 7s always want to spell je m'appelle as je m'appelle and miss out that letter E. So if I tell them before they start the assessment, then that will sink in, and hopefully I won't be spending ages getting them to correct those particular words. So we use that, but also we might, if we see a great example of a piece of work that a student has produced, we'll say, can we look at this and share this with the class? And that's a fantastic way to celebrate great achievement, but equally, I use it to celebrate excellent mistakes. Because actually, in identifying some mistakes that students have made by taking risks in their learning, that can be super efficient and effective in terms of them learning to critically engage with their own work. So visualisers are core to what we do. If you're interested in the other teaching techniques we do, please go onto our website. And in particular, I want to point you in the direction of the curriculum area, where from January, we have created new curriculum documents to outline what students are studying in each of the academic years. So there's one there for Year 7 to Year 11, and it tells you what they're studying in each of the different subjects. In the parent survey in November, quite a few of you said you weren't quite sure what they were doing in lessons in terms of the content they were covering. So the document was already on there, but we acknowledged it was a big document and you had to navigate it. So we've lifted out that key information onto one or two sides, and you can see what's happening at the moment in French, in English, in maths, etc. Something we're really pleased with at the moment in the Academy is our attendance. So we had a bit of a dip in our attendance in October as there was a bit of a COVID in the community at that time. It's really, really positive to see that the attendance is rising. And we're particularly pleased with our attendance in sixth form. So sixth form attendance has been significantly higher this year than it was last year. And I think this has probably been supported by the fact that we're asking students to stay in all day. I think sometimes when you pop home between lessons, the temptation to stay there, especially if it's cold and miserable outside, can be difficult to resist. So having students in school, we feel, has had a really positive impact on punctuality and attendance, which in turn has a huge impact on the success of those students in their exams. Finally, I would really like to thank all the parents and carers who attended the Parent Information Evening last night on wellbeing and student mental health. The resources for this and for other events that we've held are all available on the website in the parent section. Okay, have a lovely weekend and I'll speak to you all soon. Thank you.